We are back out here at Beck's Travel Plaza. You're in the cheap seats. Josh Komnick along with Justin Tierney. And we just had head railer coach Kurt Courtright on. Stop out here until 10 o'clock and get $1 Godfather's pizza slices and free fountain drinks. A lot of beer specials going on, so stop out here. We're at Beck's Travel Plaza, located next to the Hampton Inn in Lincoln until 10 a.m. Those specials are going on. And Justin, baseball, full swing now. Are you a Cub fan?
Oh, yeah, I'm a diehard Cubby fan.
Really?
I mean, I'm smart, so.
You are?
You know.
Not now, you're not. I thought you might have been. Going through some of the scores from last night, we like to give the scores to Cubs. Somehow reel off another W, especially against the Phillies.
Roy Halladay
against the Doc. Halladay, 5-1. So Cubbies on a little bit of a roll. I mean, they're still not good. I'm not saying that at all. But we're at least out of the worst record in the National League.
I'll tell you what. What they did is they made this trade. They sent Marlon Byrd out of town. Marlon Byrd had kind of struggled since he had a pretty bad injury last year and just hasn't been the same player. And they brought in this young kid, Tony Campana.
Man, is he fast.
And he has, I think, got a chance to be a little spark plug. Now, generally those kind of guys don't last.
They last for about a week.
Yeah, they come in, they're all, give them 2 weeks before Major League pitching staff figures them out.
Yes, exactly.
And they got these advanced scouts and things like that, and they learn how to pitch to this kid. But
he's like a slap hitter. He last night he pushed a bunt down the first base, not the first base line, but somewhere in between the first baseman and the second baseman. Well, the pitcher's not going to beat this guy to first. I got to tell you that almost every time. So so the first baseman grabs it, and he can't catch him either, and he's on. This is a guy that the Cubs needed.
You know who he reminds me
of?
I mean, you look at the Brewers last year; they were a really good team, and they had all these thumpers. Obviously, Ryan Braun and Corey Hart and Prince Fielder, but they also had a guy, Nigel Morgan, and he's just a very quick guy. He plays a role on his team. And if Tony Campana could be that guy for the Cubs, then I would be thrilled.
Yeah, he reminds me of a Juan Pierre several years ago when he was a little fast, when Juan was a little faster, a little younger.
The Cubs aren't going to hit home runs.
No.
I mean, they're not a power team. So, I mean, if the Cubs are going to be any good, maybe the speed and taking an extra base and, kind of wreaking havoc on the base paths with Tony Campana is one way to do it.
Well, I don't know. I always mispronounce his name. Dale Svein made that decision, or it was Epstein. One of the two. I like it for now.
Sure.
Can it last? I don't know. I hope it does. But it seems like they're playing baseball maybe a little more the way I like to see, stealing bases. I mean, Campana got on with a bunt single last night, and the first pitch he was gone, second base. And that's what, that's the way they're going to have to play. Yep. Good defense, steal some bases. I always admired the Cardinals for stealing bases. I mean, you still see Yadier Molina stealing bases, slowest guy in the major leagues. But he can pick his times.
Yep.
And, the 7-13 now. Is that good? No. Still 6 back of the Cardinals.
But you're only 20 games in, so we'll see. Maybe
we're better than last week when we talked to Jake. I can tell you that because I was ready to. Well, I still haven't watched a game, and I probably won't. But at least I can read the paper afterwards, or possibly the internet.
And the Cardinals, I think, what I've seen is if they can get Adam Wainwright going. Chris Carpenter has not come back yet, correct?
No,
I don't think he's back. He's not off the DL, so. They've had a couple, I think, rough outings from some of their starters that have kind of cost them. But if they can get Adam Wainwright going, along with Carpenter coming back at his level, and then Lance Lynn has emerged. Westbrook pitched a great game a couple weeks ago against the Cubs that I watched on a Sunday. I think their starting pitching is such that, they're going to be in it. I mean, they had a rougher week this week. Of course, losing 2 out of 3 of the Cubs. All the Cardinal fans are probably a little upset about that, but you got to be
team we can beat.
Yeah, you got to be excited about if you're a Cardinal fan the way Lance Lynn's pitching. He looks like, and Jaime Garcia, I didn't even mention him.
Yeah,
their starting pitching.
They got a good lineup. They got a good staff. They got a good lineup. They got a good manager. They've got a good organization. I think if I wanted the Cubs to be any organization,
don't say that now. Wait a minute.
This is hard for me to say.
Now wait a minute.
But
come on now.
They just. I just think they play the way play the game the way it's supposed to be played. They do the things right. They bunt. They used to squeeze a little more, which I always like to see. But they just win. And that's what I want. I want to win. Sometimes.
I can't hear those words come out of my mouth.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it, but I didn't say it all the way through. But
you didn't commit.
Arizona 5, Miami 0. Houston was a winner over Cincinnati 6-4. Atlanta 6-1 over Pittsburgh. Again, St. Louis 13-1 over Milwaukee. Colorado puts up 18 against the Mets, 18-9, and the Dodgers 3-2 over Washington, and San Diego 5-3 over the Giants. That's the National League. American League, Cleveland was a 3-2 winner over Los Angeles of Anaheim. And Pujols, I think, still not hit a home run.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yet Yankees keep winning, keep coming back. 7-6 winner over Detroit. Oakland 5, Baltimore 2, Seattle 9, Toronto 5. Let's see, American League
Tampa Bay and
Tampa Bay 8-4 over Texas. Boston 10, the White Sox 3, Kansas City 7, Minnesota 6. And that's going to do it for the games last night, Friday. So, all in all, Washington still ahead in the East Division in the National League. St. Louis winning the Central. The Dodgers, 13-6, playing real good baseball. They're ahead in the West. American League, Tampa Bay still winning, but Baltimore right behind them. Cleveland up on a Central Division who's closely raced in Texas, 15-5. That's got to be the best record, I think. Best record in baseball. Texas 15-5. So, Major League Baseball. That's a wrap for that. That season takes a long time, but we had the NFL draft.
Sure.
Thursday night and
last night,
and it will happen again tonight. The thing that lasts all week long, it seems like. And I guess we all knew luck to the Colts was going to happen.
Yep.
RG3 to the Redskins. After that, you kind of could file an order. And really, I think after the first round, those guys are pretty well set, I think, for the most part. Now you start to get in, except for the Bears. And the Bears caught some heat for taking, I think, their first round, which a lot of people said they could have gotten maybe a round later. But Shea McClellan was the first round pick. I think that was a 19th pick. The Bears had a defensive end from Boise State, 6'3", 260. They've talked about him. He could move to linebacker when Urlacher decides to hang it up, or they could put some weight on him and put him at end. Do you know anything about him? Have you researched him
just
at
what
all?
I watched the other night. They said he's a max effort guy. He's known as a guy. They talk about pads, low pads, and leverage. I don't know a lot of football terminology, but I'm guessing that means he can kind of get low and push and make a tackle, put a tackle back on his feet, and things like that. What I like about him is I like that they took a guy from a Boise State program that's got a winning attitude. Everything that they say is he's high character. This guy's a new GM, Emery, from the Bears, and he was known at Kansas City as being a guy who really found some players in the draft. So, I'll kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I did enjoy his interview after he was picked. He talked about being a farm boy. He grew up on a small town, a town of like 1,000 people in Idaho, and I guess was raised on a farm. And
Welcome to Chicago.
Yeah, we talked about chasing chickens and things like that, and how that compares to chasing a quarterback. So
really?
He seems like a good pick. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I do like a versatile guy too. Because I think the Bears, really the defensive ends, Adonijay and Peppers, of course, are pretty good. The two ends. So they got a guy that can rotate in there, maybe play a little bit of that spot, but also play linebacker, like you said.
Second round was Alshon Jeffrey, a wide receiver from South Carolina. He goes 6'4", 230. I like it, a great size. We've heard he's had some character issues. Couldn't keep his weight down. He likes to fluctuate from 240 to 215. I'm not worried about that. The Bears can keep in pretty good control of that. They needed a guy with size to line up next to Marshall now. I think they've got him. I like this. For me in a draft, I hate the combine. I hate that this guy can run a 4.740 or whatever even a good time is. I want him to come from a winning program. I want him to come from a big program like an LSU, like a South Carolina, like a
Alabama,
Michigan, Alabama.
Yeah.
I want those kind of guys. I don't care if a guy from Appalachian State can run the best 40 has ever ran in the universe ever. I don't care about that. I want him to come from that practice that plays against the best every day, that plays on the weekends against the best teams in the SEC.
Then you got to like SEC guy, that's what I want. That's the best thing. I think the thing that excites me a little bit if I'm a Bears fan about Alshon Jeffrey is that when you have a big physical receiver and an arm like Jay Cutler. I mean, if you can get one of those guys that can get a little separation, be physical, Cutler's going to put it on the spot. You know what I mean? He can throw it into a tight window if that guy can get himself open.
Or if he has enough time.
Yeah, I mean, he can really, Cutler can really sling it, and I like the fact that they say this guy's got great ball skills and can really battle for the ball because Cutler's going to put it there. And the other thing that's so different, it's going to be weird watching the Bears now because the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of little guys. The Bears have always had these little receivers like Johnny Knox. Devin Hester's more of a speed guy. So last year they had Sanzenbacher that they were throwing to. All these little receivers, and now we've got two behemoths.
Right.
We've got Brandon Marshall, who's about as big and physical a receiver there is in the NFL, and this Alshon Jeffrey is kind of cut out of the same cloth. He seems like a pretty big guy too. So it'll be interesting to see, the Bears this year and how their offense changes with the new coordinator, some new really big offensive threats.
Brandon Harden was the free safety taken in the third round from Oregon State, 6'3", 217, so some more defensive help, which, of course, we know Lovey knows. And, Justin, we got to take another quick commercial break, but you're going to come back. I've got to go to my son's soccer game here in just about 15 minutes. So you're going to take the reins. Hopefully we can get in touch with Marty Spears from the Speedway, and you're going to talk a little bit about the Rams draft, on who they took, LSU guy, an Appalachian State guy, and a guy from Montana. I don't like that draft already from the college.
They also took a guy from North Alabama you don't have listed here.
Really?
So, yeah, they went all small schools.
That's why I bring you along. You're picking me up. Hey, we're out here at Beck's Travel Plaza. I got to take a leave of absence here for 15 minutes, but Justin will be back here in just a couple minutes. You're in the Cheap Seats, 96.3 FM and WLCN online.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show. You're with Justin Tierney here at Beck's Auto Station here on the west end of town out near the interstate in Hampton Inn. Come out and check them out today. They've got all kinds of great beer specials, drink specials, and things like that. We love to see you out here today. We're joined right now by Marty Spears from the Lincoln Speedway talking about what they've got going on here this spring and this summer as the weather warms up. It's a great time to go out and check out the Lincoln Speedway. Marty, how are you this morning?
Yeah, we're doing real good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. So I guess, did we have some races last night?
Yeah, we finally got to start the season last night. We were about 2 weeks behind, but Mother Nature finally held out. It could have been a little bit warmer. The crowd was down a little bit, but the people that did stick around, they've seen a great show last night.
Gotcha. And what divisions did you guys run last night out there at Lincoln Speedway?
Well, we ran the four-cylinder class, street stock, E-mods, modifieds, and crates. And a local guy, Bob Sanders, right there in Lincoln, Illinois, he pulled up the big win for the Hornets.
Very good.
I'll give you some results here from the street stocks. We had John Ferris from Peoria, Illinois. He was followed up by Brandon Kissinger from Normal from the street stocks. E-mod division was won by Floyd Jordan, Pekin, Illinois, followed by number 31, Mark Anderson from Canton. We also had some local guys, a lot of people pulling for Brian Lynn. He's right here from Mason City, Illinois.
Brian.
He got beat last night. The guy from Springville, Illinois, 77, Guy Taylor from Springfield. He was hooked up. Nobody could catch Guy last night. Brian got on his tail a couple times, but just couldn't pull it off.
Gotcha.
Those guys were followed by Brian Dively of Springfield. And to wind up tonight, we had the crate class won by number D1, Nick Bauman. He's from New Berlin, Illinois. And, man, he's got it figured out. I'll tell you what, Matt Beatles from right there in Clinton, he led almost the whole feature, but about 2 laps to go. Nick got him on the inside going in turn one, and that was it. You couldn't catch him. So we had some great action last night. A lot of good racing. It was cold. It was cold for the fans, but I'll tell you what, when it's cold like that, the motors really like it. They run good, so we had a lot of fast cars last night. The track was perfect. It was a good night. I wanted to talk about a couple things we got coming up.
Absolutely. Please do.
Well, next week, Friday, May 4th, doing the same thing we had last night. It'll be another full show, just like last night. We had a pretty good crop of cars. We had over 30 modifieds last night, which was really great. We were really satisfied with that. But the big thing coming up, Roush Chevrolet stepped up this year. Next 2 weeks from now, May 11th, we're having the 410 Sprint and Miller Series back in town. And we're also going to honor another local guy that's right across the street from where you guys are right now. It's Dean Shirley from right there in Lincoln, Illinois.
Sure.
Dean's been racing for years. Of course, he's retired now.
He is a legend, and locally.
He is a legend. I'm almost 50 years old myself, and I remember him racing when I was a kid, so I don't want to tell his age, but he's up there right now. But the guy's great. He knows tracks.
And
all over, he sets the story.
I know Dean a little bit, and I think I think if he could, he'd get in the car right now and fire it up. He's just a great guy. Him and, you look back and some of the racing legends in Lincoln, you talk about Dean Shirley, Laz Posgay, just some great supporters, and Dean's done a lot. Like you said, you talk to any local guys who are into racing for a long enough time, and they'll tell you about Dean Shirley. So that's really cool.
Yeah, he's got some great stories to tell. I tell you what, talk about hardship racing. That's the guy. He's one of the pioneers of the sport. I mean,
sure.
If you got time, he'll tell you a story. And,
Yeah,
he's not laughing or slapping your knee when he's done. He's something else.
He was a UMP guy. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. I remember going down to Shaheen Speedway. I mean, he just dominated the place. And like you said, if he could, he'd get in the car, and he'd probably go out there and whip some young guys right now if he could.
Yep, he sure would. One thing that I think is always, because I've had some experiences at the Speedway, and I'm not a big racing guy, but when I got out to the Speedway, it was really thrilling action. The other thing I think Lincoln Speedway especially does a great job of is making it a family atmosphere. Can you talk about some of the things you guys do for kids? And I know that for example, they used to open up the pits so the kids have a chance to go maybe interact with the driver a little bit and things like that. Can you talk about the family atmosphere out there at Lincoln Speedway?
I sure will. We encourage family. I mean, that's what it's all about. We got the deal with the kids 12 and under come in with the parents. They're free. We don't even charge them for that. They come in and have a great experience. And yeah, you touched on another thing we're doing this year. Kids any age can come up and pick up a photograph of the car. A color picture. They can color it, and whatever number they put on that car. If that car wins the feature, they get their picture taken with the driver. And I think it's a really unique deal. We just started that this year. Our photographer came up with that. Him and his wife do that. We had a couple of kids last year. We had one kid that was 4 years old. He was thrilled to death. He was cold, but he was thrilled to death to get out there with Guy Taylor. And yeah, that's right. Another thing, after the races, you're more than welcome. We open the pits. Everybody can go down there and get their favorite driver, meet them, shake their hands, buy their T-shirts. Kids love it.
And the drivers love it too. The drivers love it too. Yeah. It's a way for them to kind of interact and hear from the people. As a media guy, I never had any problems with the drivers at Lincoln Speedway. Great group of guys. They love their sport, and they love their fans. So, the other thing I want to talk about with Lincoln Speedway that I think, some people don't realize is how much of a benefit it brings to Lincoln financially. There's all kinds of people come in. You just mentioned some of your winners from last night. I mean, we're talking about drivers from Clinton and Pekin and Peoria and Springfield and Normal and New Berlin, Farmer City. It really brings in, within a 50, 75-mile radius of Lincoln, you're bringing all those drivers in, and then you're bringing in their family, their friends, and then any other fans who want to come out and see it. It's a great thing to have for the local economy. I know I actually used to work at Dairy Queen, and I used to dread working those race nights because we would be so busy, making blizzards and things like that, just off the crowd. So I, really appreciate what Lincoln Speedway does locally for the economy.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad you brought that up. A couple things real quick, and I'll get you off here. But Daphne's Restaurant right there in Lincoln, they're a sponsor this year. They just came on with us. They're actually staying open, I think, till 2 a.m. on race night, just so people can come by and eat. Another one's Arby's, their drive-ups and everything. They're staying open a little bit later on Friday night. One more story, I don't know if anybody ever told you this, but last year at our Summer Nationals there in July, we went out to Steak and Shake after the races. They actually turned us away because they ran out of food. They had to shut down for a couple hours till the truck got there. And I don't know if that's ever happened in Lincoln before, so that says a lot for our speedway.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a great thing. I would encourage anybody who's never made a trip out there on a weekend night in the summer, give it a shot one time. You won't be disappointed. It's a great value. You get a lot for your price. And like you said, if you have kids, it's free. So all those young kids out there that love to watch racing, want to be race car drivers, go check out Lincoln Speedway. Mr. Spears, thank you for joining us. Good luck this summer with the Speedway, and hopefully I'll catch you out there for a race or two.
Okay, I appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Thank you. So we thank Mr. Spears for joining us from Lincoln Speedway. Just a few minutes here left, so I'll just kind of run through some local things in the news. It looks like Lincoln was a runner-up in track and field yesterday at Sacred Heart Griffin. Looks like Lincoln victories came for Garrett Cooper in the 110-meter hurdles, so congratulations to Garrett. Corey Jones in the 300 hurdles, and Anthony Cannon in the shot put. Christian Van Hook out for track and field this year. He's in the 400 meter dash and the high jump. Christian cleared 6 foot in the high jump for the rail splitters, so good for him to do that. Garrett Cooper also had a second place finish in the 300 hurdles, and Tim Jackson placed second in the long jump. Some of the relay teams for the Railers got second as well. Lincoln placed second in the 800 relay and in the 1600 relay. So congratulations to the boys track team for the Railers. It also appears that, based on what I'm reading here, that the Hartsburg-Emden baseball team got a victory last night, 8-4 over Blue Ridge Farmer City. Looks like Tyler Hopkins, Kaylor Holbert, and Cody Bolin all had big games offensively. Cody Bolin smacked a home run. Stags put together 14 hits. So congratulations to the Stags on their victory. Mount Pulaski, it looks like, had a rough go against Pleasant Plains, losing 12-3. Michael Lowry had a single, a double, and drove in 2 Mount Pulaski runs. And Jordan Luschek, I'm sure I mispronounced that name, Drew Hauser, Ty Litterly, Ryan Amidon, and Sean Nauer all had hits for Mount Pulaski. So a couple things to remind you about. The Lincoln Railers playing today at 11 o'clock against Morton in a big game as they try to get kind of the ship righted before the playoffs. We've also got Coach Josh Komnick leading his soccer team out there, so go out and check out some youth soccer today. That's always fun to see the young kids out there kicking a ball around, trying to learn the sport of soccer. And of course, big games today as far as the Cubs and Cardinals are on. The Bulls start playoff action today, so it's a great weekend in sports here for Logan County, things like that. Looks like Lincoln College has some games today as well. Parkland, who's a very strong baseball program, is at Lincoln College today. Like I said, the Bulls have started the playoffs, so we just appreciate you joining us here on the sports show. I'm flying solo, and nobody wants to hear me flap my lips anymore, so we're going to send it out. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks a lot.